hearts break in silence. Cities fall with paperwork. And sometimes an empire is built from one man's rage given a power source. This is the story of the Street Fighters versus Shadaloo. It begins with a father who never came home, a partner who vanished, and a soldier who woke up with someone else's memories. It begins with psycho power and a smile that never reaches the eyes. It begins with Bison. You know the name. Maybe you hate it. Maybe you fear it. Either way, it pulled the strongest people on Earth into the same war. Chun-Li chasing a ghost through alleys that smell like rain and wires. Guile grinding his teeth at 3 a.m., promising he won't let another friend disappear. Cammy staring into a mirror and seeing a life she doesn't remember, then choosing to fight for the one in front of her. Shadaloo stole time, bodies, and truth. The Street Fighters came to take it back. But before the empire fell, it had to be built. It didn't start as a country. It didn't need a flag. Shadaloo grew like mold, one sealed room at a time. Drug routes first, weapons next. Then the pretty modern crimes, data theft, black markets, private armies, and labs that didn't exist on any map. At the center stood Bison with psycho power burning like a violet storm. He believed domination could be engineered. He believed fear could be refined. He believed the mind was a battlefield and the body was just the carrier. To make that theory walk, he hired perfect instruments. Balrog for blunt force, a right hook you could set your watch by, a temper that got results when you didn't care who bled, Vega for the cleanup, surgical strikes, beauty worship, and blood like wine. He would kill you and hate you for ruining the carpet. Sagat for a spine the empire could wear in public, honor bent into service, not broken. The Tigre King who lost a title and found a job. He didn't kneel. He made a bargain. The kind men regret at 4 a.m. Shadaloo did not hide from fighters, it baited them. It threw tournaments like mirrored rooms. It scattered cash like confetti at parades where no one smiled. It bought police, judges, and microphones. It sold promises to anyone who feared aging. It gobbled up scientists with debts and dreams. And then the labs began to hum. If a city had a dark corner, Shadaloo wired it. If a country had a blind spot, Shadaloo parked a jet in it. The syndicate grew because it treated morality like a speed bump and technology like a religion. That's how the first collisions happened. A cache goes missing. A witness blinks out. A quiet neighborhood hears a scream and sees nothing. Agents investigate, soldiers ask questions, street fighters notice a pattern. Each thread leads to the same symbol, a skull inside a cap, a grin sharpened like a blade. Everyone swears it's just a rumor. Everyone is wrong. But this wasn't just a war about logistics. It was a war about memory, family, and names written in notebooks. Shadaloo made enemies the way a storm makes shipwrecks, and those enemies came with names. But that wasn't the whole story. Chun-Li learned to run on pain. ICPO badge, hair buns tight enough to stop a migraine, a kick that wrote her father's name on the night sky. She didn't wake up obsessed. She was pushed there. Her father chased Shadaloo and vanished into paper and static. A daughter dug him out by force. Every lead ended in smoke until she found the man who caused the fire. Bison, the smile, the cape, the casual cruelty that calls itself policy. Chun-Li became a storm shaped like a person. The legs did the talking. Justice stopped being a word and became a rhythm. Every strike sings the same name. Guile didn't chase justice. He chased a ghost with dog tags. Charlie, Nash, went off the grid chasing Shadaloo and never came back normal. The official story folded into a folder no one could open. So Guile made his own. He pressed until doors bent. He kicked until fear learned a new language. He told himself it was a mission. Mission's end. This didn't. It crawled into his bones. He became the kind of soldier who doesn't blink when a building explodes. because he's already measuring the blast radius of tomorrow. Cammy didn't start with a vendetta. She started with a gap. The Dolls Project carved memories out of girls and poured orders into the hole. Cammy was a weapon wrapped in questions she could not ask. Then the questions leaked through anyway. She woke up into pain and refused to go back to sleep. Freedom doesn't feel good at first. It feels like cold air and empty rooms. She chose it anyway. That choice made her dangerous to Shadaloo and useful to anyone who needed a friend with impossible reflexes and a cause. 3 roads. 1 address. Chun-Li tracks a killer. Guile hunts a handler. Cammy fights the ghost of a girl who wore her face. They didn't coordinate. They collided. That collision shook Shadaloo's schedule, but it wasn't just people Shadaloo stole. It stole styles, bodies, and minds. Shadaloo wanted soldiers who didn't ask for weekends, so the labs created the dolls. Code names like winter, eyes like glass, each one an instrument that never argued. They were conditioned to obey, drilled until instinct felt like destiny. They moved in formation like a prayer somebody wrote in a laboratory. Cammy was supposed to be the flagship. She became the universe's worst advertisement for control by breaking it. Cammy's escape tore a hole in the myth. If one doll could wake up, others could. That possibility scared Shadaloo more than any punch. The program kept going, then doubled down. DiCaprio shows the cost. A mask hiding scars you can hear in her breathing. Rage that looks like electricity and sounds like a migraine. Weaponizing trauma is good business until it isn't. Shadaloo learned that truth in 100 small ways. A glance that lingers too long. A hesitation mid-strike. A hand that shakes after a mission. The human leaks out no matter how many walls you build. How many dolls still walk? The files are broken, the labs burned some of the paper and kept the rest. Rumors drift through border towns and warehouses near the sea. Sightings, half memories, a voice on a payphone, a song someone hums without knowing why. Cammy chases those threads the way a diver follows bubbles. One at a time. No guarantee there's air at the end. If the dolls were the hands, psycho power was the heartbeat, and psycho power had an origin myth of its own. The world of Street Fighters runs on energy with rules. Psycho power is will turned into violence. It eats fear and spits out control. Bison is its vessel and its salesman. Across the ring stands a different philosophy. Ansatsuken. A killing art sharpened into discipline. Ryu walks the line between calm and the Satsui no Hado, the murderous impulse that whispers when you are tired and losing. Akuma is what happens when you answer that whisper with a yes every day of your life. Bison thinks power bends reality. Ryu believes control bends power. Their fights are physics demonstrations with broken teeth. Shadaloo always wanted a fighter like Ryu under contract. Imagine a champion turned billboard. Imagine a legend selling the lie that control is weakness and domination is destiny. It never worked. Because Ryu doesn't worship strength, he studies it. That difference looks small until a life depends on it. Akuma complicates the picture by proving that surrendering to rage can make you precise, not sloppy. He is the blade Ryu refuses to become. He terrifies Shadaloo because he proves there are storms Bison doesn't own. Psycho power can crush cities. Satsui no Hado can end a life between heartbeats, but only one of those carries a code. Ryu chooses the code. Akuma chooses the edge. Bison chooses himself. While the powers clashed, Shadaloo started cracking from the inside. Empires fail when lieutenants start talking to mirrors. Sagat went to Shadaloo with a wound and a need. He brought order to men who preferred chaos. He gave the monster a spine. Then he looked down and saw what he was holding up. He walked away with a scar that stopped burning and the purpose that didn't. Honor bends, it also snaps back. Vega never believed in Bison. He believed in beauty. He followed Shadaloo because it fed his need to curate pain and perfection. When the Empire's face got ugly, his loyalty thinned. He is not a traitor, he is a collector. He protects what pleases him and abandons what does not. That makes him useful until it makes him lethal to the plan. Balrog is simpler. He wants money and fight. He breaks things to earn both. That's an asset when the target is a wall. It's a liability when the target is a future. Short money undermined long empire. He skimmed, smashed, and solved nothing that required patience. The Syndicate's loyalties became a pile of IOUs and grudges, and when lieutenants wobble, the labs get louder to compensate. If Shadaloo is a shark, its labs are the teeth. They bit into key research, cybernetics, biowarfare rumors, and anything that could make fear predictable. They didn't just upgrade soldiers, they tried to industrialize evil. The SIN offshoot called itself a company. It walked like a corporation and wrote emails like a cult. It weaponized tournament hype as bait. It turned combat into a fishing net. Lure champions, map their limits, copy their edges, sell the result to the highest bidder who would never appear in a courtroom. Some projects looked like science fiction you could lift. Others looked like fever dreams you had to bleach out of your head. Cyber soldiers with eyes that tracked in hexadecimal, chambers that hissed like snakes swallowing, rooms built for detachment where no one touched the ground. Every line had a name. Every name had a price. The labs made fighters chase shadows. For every door they broke down, 3 more opened. For every hard drive seized, a server in a country you've never visited spun up and laughed. Street-level casualties followed. Witnesses vanished in daylight. Kids got sick near facilities that did not exist. Agents burned out on surveillance that never ended. This is where Chun-Li stopped taking prisoners. This is where Guile stopped sleeping. This is where Cammy started collecting names like bandages. The laps ran faster. The hunts grew dirtier. Then the thing everyone said could never happen happened. Tyrants never believe in endings. Then they get one anyway. The takedown didn't look clean. It never does. Bison's last stand felt less like a duel and more like a dam cracking. Psycho power buckled with him. The city breathed. The cameras blinked. Then the bill arrived. Buildings don't get up by themselves. People don't either. What happens to psycho power when the vessel breaks? Some say it goes with him like smoke. Others say energy never dies. It just looks for a new house. Data caches didn't burn. Some labs went dark because the generators ran out, not because anyone chose mercy. The dolls did not all come home. Some ran, some hid, some waited for a voice that never spoke again, then learned to speak for themselves. The lieutenants scattered to the winds. Vega left like a rumor fading. Balrog hunted money like it owed him. Sagat rebuilt his name one match at a time. Was it a victory? Yes. Did it end the war? Number. Cut off the head and the body twitches. The markets Shadaloo owned didn't disappear. They changed owners. The algorithm Shadaloo wrote to track debts and fears kept running until someone unplugged them, and not everyone wanted them unplugged. Knock the king off the board and other players start moving. When a logo dies, paper lives. Shell companies, philanthropists, foundations with names that sound like vitamins. Assets flow through clean desks and quiet handshakes. Fighters feel it before journalists do. Prize money appears from nowhere. A fixer knows a man who knows a lab with no address. A promoter never answers direct questions and always smiles with his eyes. In this new era, the power vacuum hums. You can't kill demand with a eulogy. There is still money in fear. There is still profit in turning fighters into hardware. Whispers circle the circuit about psychopower tracing itself through new vessels, diluted, refined, repackaged. Is it true? Some nights the air tastes like it. Some nights it's just paranoia mixed with neon. Street rumor says a handful of dolls live in quiet, building lives from splinters. Others say a benefactor pays their rent in cash and asks no questions until he does. What we know is simple. The next war won't look like the last one. The uniforms are gone. The cape has been folded into a museum exhibit nobody visits twice. But the blueprint survives. Buy scientists, scare governments, exploit pain, hide the blood under paperwork. That is the lesson the world learned from Shadaloo. It is also the warning. If Shadaloo is really gone, why does the city still feel watched? And if it isn't, what name will it wear next? This was never just fists. It was grief weaponized and sold wholesale. Chun-Li chased a killer and found a machine that eats fathers. Guile chased a friend and found a maze that laughs at compassion. Cammy chased herself and refused to stop when the answers hurt. Together, they didn't topple a government. They broke a pattern. M.BISON fell. The lab shivered. The lieutenants learned that loyalty measured in money always runs dry. But Shadaloo was never just M.BISON. It was an idea. The idea that fear is an economy. The idea that a city will accept anything if the lights stay on. The idea that strength without a code is a shortcut to rule. The street fighters remain because they reject that math. They keep fighting in rings, alleys, temples, and rooftops because someone has to tell the truth with their hands. Power isn't destiny. It's a debt. If you take it, you pay it. So here we are. The beads are quiet. The cape is dust. The skull emblem is a sticker fading on a crate that should have been burned. And yet people still vanish. Data still moves. Money still finds the river. Maybe Shadaloo is gone. Maybe it changed names. Either way, the lesson holds. Empires built on stone wills eventually face a bill. It comes due without warning. It arrives with a kick that writes a name in the sky. It arrives with a flash that sounds like justice hitting bone. It arrives with a soldier folding a flag. He hopes he will never have to unfold again. If this story left a mark, tell me the moment that stuck. Was it Chun-Li's pursuit across a city that pretended not to see? Guile's promise to a friend who couldn't answer? Cammy choosing a life with no instructions? Or the instant M.BISON learned that fear is strong until it meets someone who isn't afraid? Drop your answer below. And if there's a corner of this war you want next, One Doll's escape, Sagat's road back, the SIN experiments that still echo, say the word. We'll pull the thread. We'll see what unravels, because the street fighters aren't done, the shadows aren't empty, and the city doesn't sleep. Not really. Not while there are debts to collect and blueprints to burn. The bill will keep coming, and someone will be there to pay it, with courage, with patience, and with a kick that says the world doesn't belong to fear.